If you've looked for a job recently, you've probably had to fire off dozens or maybe even hundreds of resumes to just a bunch of different people. And you've also probably experienced that in many of those cases, you just never hear back from the employer at all. And it looks like that might, in part at least, be due to the fact that a huge amount of these jobs are simply not real. This is from Forbes. 36% of job adverts are fake, and how to spot them in 2024. We're going to read the first section of this. If you're applying for jobs endlessly but with little success, the good news is there's a high chance that it's not your fault at all. The bad news is the reason for this is completely out of your control. Well, at least to some degree. A recent survey of more than 700 recruiters in the US conducted by My Perfect Resume revealed that shockingly, 81% of recruiters post ghost job advertisements. A ghost job advert is one that is fake because the employer is either scoping for a potential talent pool or potential interest in the future, or the role has already been filled, but it still shows as actively hiring people to get some presence on recruitment pages and job boards. And we'll talk more about the reasons why people do this in the future. When the weighting of these fake jobs adverts is calculated, it shows that approximately 36% of jobs posted online, or more than a third, are not actually for real vacancies. Similarly, a June Resume Builder study uncovered findings that proved figures comparable to My Perfect Resume study. Out of the 1,641 hiring managers surveyed, 40% of respondents admitted to posting fake job adverts this year, and 3 out of 10 say they currently have a ghost job advertisement active. This disturbing trend is devastating to the mental health of those applying for jobs who are desperately praying and hoping that the next job advert they respond to would be the one to become their dream job, only to have their hopes dashed. It prompts the question, why do employers post fake or ghost job advertisements? And this is absolutely terrible for job seekers. You already have a really difficult time finding a job. I know I've been in that place before where I'm spending basically all day, every day firing out resumes, just desperately trying to get anything on the hook. And now reading this, I'm even more upset because maybe it wasn't my fault in the first place and I was just being pointlessly fished or catfished by employers. This is from the Wall Street Journal. The US economy has added more than 2 million jobs over the past year, but more people who are out of work are having a hard time getting back in. As of November, more than 7 million Americans were unemployed, meaning they didn't have work and were trying to find it. More than 1.6 million of these jobless workers had been job hunting for at least 6 months, according to the Department of Labor. The number of people searching for that long is up more than 50% since the end of 2022. And thanks to the internet and online job applications, you are competing with basically everyone from anywhere in the world who is also interested in that job. It no longer matters if you're in Michigan and they're in California. Everyone gets to apply to the same job. And this forces you to have to fire off dozens or hundreds of applications to even get a hope of getting an interview or a response, which means everyone else is also doing that, so every job is flooded by applicants. And if that's not bad enough, even more of these companies are requiring you to complete assignments before they'll even interview you in the first place, which is even more brutal because that's even more of a time waste for if you don't get the job. And now when you find out that 1 in 3 jobs isn't even real in the first place, well, now you're wasting even more time than you were previously. Job hunting is basically now in itself a full-time job because of how inconvenient and time-consuming it is. But the article goes on. On average, it now takes people about 6 months to find a job, roughly a month longer than it did during the post-pandemic hiring boom in early 2023, according to the Labor Department. The pain is largely in high-paying white-collar jobs, including tech, law, and media, where businesses grew fast when the economy reopened from the pandemic, but now have less need for new hires. And if you enjoy this kind of deep dive into the news, I would absolutely love a subscription. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers in 2025, and I hope to see you around here on some other videos. So the question is, if people who are applying to the jobs absolutely hate this, as they should, and the companies aren't planning to hire people anyway, then what's the point of even posting fake jobs? And I think there's actually a large amount of reasons, but they do this to impact 3 main groups of people. The first group they're trying to impact is employees. The second group they're trying to impact is the company themselves, or all the people in management and upper management. And the third group that they're trying to impact is the investors. So we're going to go through each of these and explain the reasons behind each group that they're trying to impact, of course, starting with the employees. And they're trying to impact employees for 2 main reasons, or in 2 main ways, as you can see here. Companies harbor several motives for running these deceptive ads, which is talking about ghost job advertisements, according to the survey. First, some aim to trick current employees into thinking that the business is not only growing, but also making an effort to hire more workers and alleviate their existing workloads. In some instances, hiring managers said their goal was to signal to current employees that they are replaceable. Nearly 60% of companies surveyed says they collected resumes to keep them on file for a later date with no intention of immediately hiring anyone. They They may do it to suggest that they're hiring so that if you're an employee, you'll think, we'll relieve you of your workload, Haller said. It may also be to say that, quote, we're a growing company. On the darker side, it could also be to say, we're looking to replace you, so you better work harder. And this is kind of two sides of the same coin. You have one side saying, don't worry, keep working hard, we will get you relief soon. So it's kind of a positive, if fake, motivator. And the other side is saying, you better keep working hard, otherwise we're going to replace you. And that's the negative side of it. That's the carrot, and then there's the stick. But both are deceptive tactics that exist in order to turn a profit, because companies exist to turn profits, not to be nice to employees. Now, the second group that companies hope to impact by posting these deceptive jobs is the company itself. And this is primarily by boosting their own image, and you can see here from Forbes. There's a number of reasons why job applicants will see online job postings for positions that companies are not actually hiring for. For example, when there are layoffs or it's a challenging economic climate, some businesses will post fake jobs to create the illusion that the company is doing well and growing. While the role may be real, the company doesn't have any intention of hiring someone for the position. So basically, it's good PR and reputation management to make it look like you have a lot of jobs. When you hear about layoffs, you might start looking around online to see what companies are hiring because you're worried that you yourself might be laid off, or you're just curious what's out there while other people are being laid off. And then you see XYZ company that's posting a lot of jobs. That builds a good image of the company. Like, oh, look, all those other people are laying off their employees, but we are continuing to hire because we are a growing and thriving company that cares about employees, so we don't fire them. In fact, we continue to hire even when times are tough. It looks really good for the company to do that, and so even if it's deceptive, then they're definitely going to do that. The second reason is also, it is kind of cheap advertising. I mean, job boards are everywhere, and it's a really easy way to get your company's name out there because presumably for whatever the job is, there are hundreds, thousands, tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of people looking for jobs with that title. And so if you put a lot of fake jobs out there, it builds general brand awareness for almost no money at all. And who knows, down the road, one of those employees might get a job somewhere else and then remember your company name as a place they had applied to, and then make a connection between the two companies and they become a potential customer of yours or something like that. You get the idea. It builds brand awareness, which basically never hurts a company. Advertising is expensive, so if you can do it for free by pretending like you've got a bunch of job openings, then of course companies are going to do that. Now, the final group of people that companies are hoping to impact are investors. And I don't actually have an article for this. This is more just a theory I came up with while writing this episode. It makes sense to me that if you're a company looking for investors, being able to say you're growing and showing that you have dozens of job opportunities open sounds really good to the investors. It makes them more likely to give you money, which is good for your company. You can project this image that things are going really well at your company and things will continue to do even better if they only give you the money so that you can hire more people, fulfill all these positions, and that will lead to greater profits because you spend money to make money, but if you can spend a little money and hire some good people, then you can make a lot more money. It's all about persuading potential investors that you have a lot going for your company, and with their money, it can be even more, and you can get rich, and they can get rich, and everybody wins. But whatever the reason is that companies do this, or the groups that they're hoping to impact by doing this, it all comes down to money and making money for the company. And unfortunately, it does seem like maybe this is actually working. Majority, and this is majority of hiring managers, say fake job postings boosted revenue and productivity. According to hiring managers, posting fake job listings has had the following impacts on their company. On revenue, 68% reported a positive impact, 23% state there was no impact at all, and 7% report a negative impact, which is 2% saying that they weren't sure. On employee morale, 65% report a positive impact, 21% claim no impact at all, 12% report a negative impact, and 3% were not sure. On productivity, 77% report that it had a positive impact on productivity, 14% state that there was no impact at all, and 8% report a negative impact on productivity, and 1% are not sure. And if you're a company and there's basically a free way to make your revenue, employee morale, and productivity all go up in one fell swoop, there's basically no incentive not to do it, even if it harms everyone else outside your company, and maybe even in some instances the employees of the company themselves. And even more interestingly to note, it doesn't seem like almost anyone that did this actually has an issue with doing it. 7 in 10 believe posting fake jobs is morally acceptable. Regarding the moral acceptability of posting fake job listings, 43% of hiring managers believe it is definitely acceptable, and 27% think it's probably acceptable. On the other hand, 20% probably don't consider it acceptable, and 10% believe that it is not acceptable at all. And this means that it's not going to get fixed without any kind of outside influence. When you have basically 70% of people thinking it's a good idea, and about that percentage of people reporting that it's actually had positive impacts on the company and the employees and the profits, then why would they ever stop? It works, and it's really easy to do. Which of course begs the question, what do we do about it? And I think there's two main things that could be done. The first one is just straight up make it illegal. Say that it is just now illegal to post job listings for roles that you aren't actively trying to fill. Now that would be complicated and requires a lot of branches of government to work together that I can imagine aren't going to work together on something as inconsequential as this when we have larger problems. So I think the second one is probably easier, and it's just to constitute this as fraud. And this one makes the most sense to me, because what you're doing when you do this is you are deliberately misrepresenting the company and how things are at the company for the sole purpose of making more revenue on the back end to positively impact and benefit the company's profits. And to me, that's kind of textbook fraud. You are lying to employees about the company, you're lying to investors about the company, and in some instances, you're lying to the company about the company. That feels like it has all of the makings of just fraud. And fraud's already illegal. So all we have to do is have some court case go through that constitute this specifically as a law that already exists. But realistically, without something specifically banning this in the form of a court ruling or a law, I don't see a world in which it goes away. Thanks for watching.